Vous écoutez RM1 Nord-Sud 98.9, Centre 97.3, Est-Ouest 91.7. RM1, it's 9 o'clock. The news with Ayrece Stewart. Good morning, Ayrece.
Good morning, Sophie.
We start with the headlines.
Chagos agreement nears final ratification, says Attorney General Glover. Record vehicle registration spark concerns over congestion and pollution. Colder days ahead, weather set to worsen with incoming front and anticyclone. Reservoir levels rise after recent rainfall, Midlands now full. ACP Lilaram Dial awaits bail decision in 30 million rupees embezzlement case. World Reggae Day, celebrating a genre of resistance and consciousness. In world news, at least 20 killed in Israeli airstrike on Gaza Cafe, says BBC. And in sports news, Club World Cup shocker sees Man City and Inter knocked out. The UK is in the final stages of ratifying the Chagos Agreement. The opposition period ends on Thursday, July 3rd. Attorney General Gavin Glover confirmed last night on NBC, where he discussed the latest developments surrounding the agreement signed between Mauritius and the UK on May 22. In the British Parliament yesterday, several motions were tabled to counter the ratification of this treaty, opposition that does not worry the Mauritian government, according to Gavin Glover. Take a listen to this extract voiced over by Pranav Bihari.
We don't have any major concern because based on our discussions with our counterparts in the UK, even if the motion put forward by the Conservative Party passes in the House of Lords, it won't stop the ratification process in the House of Commons. However, it would be a setback for the British government and could potentially affect the ratification in the long term, but not in the short term.
And thanks to that voiceover by Ashi Bachu. And moving to Parliament, curbing the out-of-control growth in the number of vehicles on Mauritian roads. This was the reason given by Osman Mohamed yesterday afternoon in Parliament to justify the budgetary measures concerning the road transport sector. This was in response to the P&Q from the leader of the opposition. The Minister of Internal Transport clarified that the objective is not to reduce the existing vehicle fleet, adding that Mauritius recorded 22,893 registrations in the first 6 months of 2025, on average of 200 vehicles per day, a record high. According to Osman Mohamed, this situation creates 4 major problems: traffic congestion, road accidents, air pollution, and parking and aggressive driving issues. We listen to this extract from Parliament.
The budget measures do not purport to reduce the number of vehicles on our roads, but it seeks to decrease the alarming rate of increase of vehicles which have gone out of control. For the first 6 months of this year, for a small island like Mauritius, a total number of 22,893 as at 29 June 2025 vehicles have been registered at the National Land Transport Authority. That is a whopping 200 vehicles approximately per day, the highest ever registered. This has been the trend over the last 10 years. At the end of 2014, there were 465,552 vehicles, while at date, 733,498. That is an increase of 58% over the last 10 years. This is paradoxical, as during that period, alternative mode of transportation has been provided. The Metro Express is one of them, which ought to have triggered a decrease in the number of vehicles on our roads, but exactly the opposite have occurred.
And now on to weather news. Coats, scarves and umbrellas. These have been essential accessories for Mauritians over the past few days to go out and protect themselves from the cold. A frontal system is approaching the Mascarene Islands from the southwest, followed by a powerful anticyclone. The Meteorological Services issued a forecast yesterday. The weather will deteriorate starting today with intermittent rain, strengthening winds and seas that will gradually become rough. More on this with Anjali Siratan Pulchan and Shabniz Uziar Waidali.
Weather conditions are changing over the Mascarenes. Umbrellas will need to be out. The meteorological station is forecasting the arrival of a frontal system followed by a strong anticyclone, according to Fawaz Dil Mohamed, meteorologist.
A frontal system followed by a strong anticyclone is approaching the Mascarene Islands from the southwest. Clouds associated with the frontal system will begin to influence the weather from this evening, with intermittent rain expected to persist even into Wednesday morning.
Winds will strengthen and temperatures will drop.
Eventually, with this anticyclone, a relatively cooler air mass will settle over the region. Daytime temperatures are expected to drop by about 3 degrees, with a maximum of around 24 degrees in the Port Louis area and even in the western region. Winds will strengthen, with gusts reaching up to 70 kilometers per hour.
Rain, wind, rough seas, caution is advised on the roads and at sea. The weather is expected to become unsettled in the coming days.
And now on to water news. The recent rains have been beneficial for the country's 7 reservoirs. Yesterday, the Midlands Reservoir was 100% full, La Niculière was 99% full, and Piton de Milieu was 99.3% full. The director of the Water Resources Unit, Lomash Jagu, also notes an improvement in the water level in the groundwater tables in Mauritius. We listen to this report by Ashi Bachu, voiced over by Pranav Biari.
This gives us a total storage capacity of approximately 87.5%. There have been some improvements compared to the months of January, February and March, when the situation was extremely critical. However, we received some rainfall that helped improve the reservoir levels. Our phreatic aquifers have also shown improvement and appear to have stabilized at normal seasonal levels, except for those in the north, which remain at what we usually consider the average.
And according to Lomash Jagu, rainfall deficits cannot be ruled out in the coming months. The authorities remind us that it is therefore essential to take precautions now. By way of comparison, at the same time last year, the overall storage rate was 95.5%, but despite this, the country experienced complex situations.
It's important to point out that the Water Resources Monitoring Committee recently held a meeting during which it was stated that we may experience below average rainfall in the coming months. This means we need to start taking the necessary precautions now. We cannot assume that the current state of our reservoirs will remain the same. Compared to the same period last year, we're still facing an 8% deficit. This gap still needs to be filled, and at the same time, depending on how the situation evolves in the coming months, every sector will need to take the necessary measures to ensure that our water reserves last as long as possible.
And in court-related news, today, Assistant Commissioner of Police ACP Liram Dial will learn the court's decision on his request for conditional release. The former head of the counter-terrorism unit in the Prime Minister's office is currently in pre-trial detention. He is accused of embezzling 30 million rupees from anti-drug reward funds, a sum much higher than the 4.5 million initially mentioned. To justify this amount, Liram Dial claimed to have set up a network of informants both in Mauritius and abroad, with the aim of combating the proliferation of drugs and ensuring the country's security. However, the former close associate of ex-Prime Minister Pravin Jagnat refused to provide any information about these informants based abroad, citing the Official Secrets Act. And finally, in other news, every July 1st, the world pays tribute to a style that has crossed borders. Reggae, born in Jamaica in the 1960s, this musical genre has become a symbol of peace, unity and resistance, led by icons such as Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. Reggae doesn't just make you dance, it makes you think. Through its rhythms and socially conscious lyrics, it defends strong values such as social justice and tolerance. And on this World Reggae Day, artists such as Mervyn Kelly from the musical duo The Prophecy are perpetuating the spirit of reggae while giving it a contemporary voice. More on this report with Numa Narayana Rana Reddy, voiced over by Ashi Bachu.
It's an important day for those in the reggae world and for music lovers around the globe. Personally, I've been inspired by reggae and I chose to use it as a way to share certain messages, just as Bob Marley did when he helped us spread the reggae across the world. His message was one of peace and love, which are the foundations of everything.
Blessed love, good to be conscious.
And you're listening to RM1. It's 9:10, and on to international news. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seaside cafe frequently used by activists, journalists and local residents in western Gaza yesterday. According to the BBC, the attack came after Israel carried out a wave of airstrikes in the Gaza Strip overnight, causing the mass displacement of hundreds of Palestinian families. This bombing follows one of the largest evacuation orders issued since the war resumed in March this year. And on to sports finally. With a real bombshell at the Club World Cup, Manchester City and Inter Milan have been eliminated. Fluminense won 2-0 against the Nerazzurri. It has been a difficult season for Inter, who were beaten in the Champions League final and are also struggling in Serie A. And this morning it was Manchester City's turn to exit the competition, facing Saudi club Al Hilal. The citizens were held to a 2-2 draw at the end of regulation time. In extra time, Al Hilal took the lead before Phil Foden equalised, but in the 112th minute, Leonardo scored the winning goal for the Saudis, the final score at 4-3. Al Hilal will now face Fluminense in the quarterfinals on Friday, July 4th. And tonight, another highly anticipated match, Juventus versus Real Madrid. The round of 16 match will be broadcast live on NBC Sports 11 starting at 11 p.m. That's all from me this morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now on to the intermediate playlist by RM1 until 10 a.m.